Welcome to Team 3's Group Organizational Diagnosis. Today presenting will be Trina Clifton, Stephen Hagerman, Brittany McManus, and Blane Shelley. Hello, my name is Brittany, and I'm going to be introducing our company, why we chose the company, how we collected data, and what was observed. We chose to do Kroger, a supermarket or a multi-department store throughout the United States. We chose this company because it was not only in all the states where our members resided, but it also was a place that multiple of our members had worked before. In North Carolina, where one of the members is, it's known as Harris Teeter, and here in Alaska, where I live, it's known as Fred Meyer's. We collected data through in-person observations, speaking with customer service reps, and doing research online as well. What was observed throughout these observations was long lines and an over-reliance on self-checkouts. Next, Stephen will be discussing the nature of the problem that we observed.
On slide 3, we'll discuss the nature of the problem. Kroger grocery stores are facing problems with long lines and frustrated cashiers and self-checkout attendants. A primary cause for this is high use of self-checkout machines as a means to achieve a more efficient operation. More recently, labor shortages have also caused Kroger to further rely on self-checkout machines. The problem of long lines also impacts employee job satisfaction, which in turn impact how they interact with customers. The proliferation of self-checkouts has also raised concern about its impact on social interaction, particularly with the elderly. Rhode Island Democratic State Senator Cotter introduced a bill to limit the number of self-checkout lanes and provide a 10% discount to customers who use self-checkout for 10 or more items. He describes self-checkouts as a force that isolates the elderly, who tend to struggle more with the technology and in many cases benefit from the assistance with cashiers.
This problem at Kroger is a common problem in many retail areas right now. We identified a few of the main causes for this problem through observation, research, and conversations with employees at our local stores. The 4 primary reasons we've identified are employee burnout, post-pandemic effects, low employee satisfaction, and labor shortages. A recent survey showed that 48% of retail employees who were questioned were looking to leave for these reasons, along with the search for more money. It's no news to any of us that the pandemic over the last few years has had a ton of effects on every part of our lives. But for retail workers, they didn't get a break during this trying time, which led to a lot of burnout being felt. When individuals are experiencing burnout, they often have a lower job satisfaction, which has a direct impact on customer satisfaction and a direct correlation with labor shortages.
On slide 5, we will evaluate organizational behavior solutions. We have established the increasing use of self-checkout stations at grocery stores, coupled with long lines and impersonal employee behavior, has become a significant problem for Kroger. Let's evaluate implementing organizational behavior solutions to help with these concerns. Kroger needs to adopt Lewin's force field analysis model, which describes the need to weaken restraining forces and make driving forces stronger. In this case, the restraining force is the dependency on self-checkout as a driver for efficiency. The driving force is the need to improve customer satisfaction and cashier job satisfaction. By providing employees with better training and incentivizing them to provide personalized service, Kroger can strengthen the driving force and weaken the restraining force, making change easier to implement. There are a few solutions Kroger can implement by unfreezing the current situation, making change, and refreezing in a better state. Kroger could increase the number of cashiers available during peak hours. They can consider hiring more employees to monitor self-checkout stations and offer more personalized service. The best approach would balance providing customers with options that cater to their individual needs, while best managing attended and self-service checkout options.
Hello everyone, my name is Blane Shelley, and I'm here to discuss actions to solve Kroger's inefficiencies and long checkout times, as well as some barriers that could get in the way of our suggestions. First, Kroger needs to focus on their recruitment initiatives and employee turnover rates. We believe that low job satisfaction is at the core of these issues. One method to improve in these areas is the implementation of a team-based training for first-line supervisors. According to a survey done by Gilsdorf, nearly 1,200 employees, less than a quarter felt satisfied with their job, and almost half felt mistreated by management at some point. This is likely due to the fact that most first-line supervisor training is focused on customer service and cash management, whereas a team-based training program would help first-line supervisors better connect with and manage their employees. Another strategy to consider is the alteration of their highly specialized jobs. McShane and Gleno state that high job specialization can have a negative effect on motivation and attitude, and lowering that job specialization can reduce monotony and increase the skill variety in their employees. Finally, Kroger could implement an incentive program. Crail mentions that over 80% of Americans do not feel recognized or rewarded for their work. Increasing this recognition can improve motivation and attitudes in an organization. These solutions, while potential fixes, do present certain challenges that must be monitored. First, training programs can be extremely expensive. Indeed.com reports that the average cost to train a new employee exceeds $1,200, and additional training for these first-line supervisors would add to that cost. Further, the corporate office would also have to agree upon a training program, whether in-house or through a leadership training firm. These ventures will be costly. Next, training an employee in multiple departments would obviously increase time in training. This is true for all employees, although some might pick concepts up faster than others. They still need to plan for the slower learners in the group. A highly specialized job, according to McShane and Gleno, has an advantage in that it requires fewer skills and less knowledge to gain competency. Another consideration is the phenomenon known as attention residue. McShane and Gleno describe this as the tendency for individuals to remain focused on their previous task rather than the task at hand. This can slow job performance if it's not mitigated. And finally, incentive programs are not always effective. They may reduce the productivity of low-level performers, and they can cause conflict within the organization based on research done by Gale. These incentive programs must be closely monitored to ensure that they don't get out of hand. While we believe these actions are potential solutions to Kroger's inefficiencies, they do come with challenges, and next we'll address some risks, costs, and unintended consequences of these recommendations.
Hello, my name is Brittany, and I'm going to be going over the risks, costs, and unintended consequences that are associated with adopting the changes that we have proposed for the company. To begin with, employee turnover rates and retention rates can be hurt if the employees hired through recruitment are not retained. According to some data that I found in the Kroger Retention Score article, Kroger is in the bottom 15% as of now compared to similar-sized companies when it comes to retaining quality employees. Basically, what this shows is that if during recruitment the employee decides to quit, it hurts the retention score as well as the turnover score. I also found data with the Gallup surveys that showed that the average turnover cost of an individual employee can range from 1/2 to 2 times their annual salary. To kind of put this in number for you guys, if an employee is making $56,000 a year, their turnover rate would be half of that, so $28,000, or double that, $112,000. There are also other expenses during the recruitment and training process. The first kind of expenses are the recruitment costs, which is the advertising, the job boards that are subscribed to, the interviewing processes, and the hiring processes. There are also other costs such as onboarding costs, which is things like the processing the paperwork and the background checks. To add to the expenses, there's also going to be a loss of productivity when the active employees are training new hires. Any time that they're spending training is time away from their work. And the amount of training time and the people involved in the training is what's going to determine this loss of productivity. It was also showed in an article by Markovic that 2 employees, the new hire and the training employee, are both devoting their time to training instead of working, which is going to double the training expenses spent. Lastly, there is many benefits to these incentive programs, but there are also unintended consequences as well. These can range from a ruin in the relationships between coworkers to manipulation by managers to get them to do what the employees what they want them to do. There was some research I found by Kahn that stated that it's impossible to achieve meaningful change when incentives are relied upon to produce productivity. To put this in my own words, when you're constantly offering a reward for an employee to do what they're actually supposed to be doing, and it can ignore the problem and the reasons for the problem, which can cause a misunderstanding of what actually needs to be fixed. And then also, Kahn stated that for every person who wins, there are many others who feel like they have lost, which puts the coworkers in competition against each other, making it hard to collectively collaborate. Next will be the discussion over the communication and change adoptions that go into the changes that we are proposing.
For our communication and change adoption approaches, our focus will be for both employees and customers. We do believe that most individuals will find benefit from these changes and don't expect a ton of resistance from this change. For employees, they're going to begin to foster a better work environment and more job satisfaction. For customers, they'll receive a better customer experience and shorter lines. When communicating with employees, we'll use the Lewin's force field analysis model by unfreezing the current situation, moving to the desired condition, and then refreezing the system so that it remains in the desired state. For customers, the approach will be based upon the action research process, where we'll market in many different forums to focus on what our diagnosed need for change was, what intervention is being taken, and how we will continue to evaluate that change over time.
Here's a list of the references that we use throughout our PowerPoint. Thank you everyone for listening.